Hello, and welcome to Neography A to Z. On this channel, I take a look at constructed and natural writing systems for both their functionality and their aesthetic appeal. Dhadakha is a constructed script invented in 2016 by Brian Bourque for his artistic constructed language, or artlang, Lortho. It has gone through multiple revisions before it reached the final form in mid-2018. Dhadakha was inspired by Devanagari, Tibetan, the Ujin style, and Tengwar. Currently, the script is solely used to write Lortho. This review is a bit different in that it isn't quite a review, as I already did one of this script in 2018 on my blog. This redo review will be more in depth and delve into how Brian has developed Dhadakha over the years. I stand by these words from 2018, but let's look a little deeper this time. Now let's take a look at the functionality. Dhadakha is an alphabet with abhagadic elements. It is written left to right and uses some standard punctuation. There is also a decimal digit system used for positional notation, very much like Arabic numerals. The sample you see on screen demonstrates that the vowels were once marked with disconnected diacritics, and that the script overall functioned much more like an abjad. However, you can still see that there are strong brush strokes and a very clear definition of what a letter is. Probably the only thing that I would encourage Brian to do moving forward would be to add maybe IPA or some glossing or transliteration when he puts his samples online. But I can understand that once you put up the chart and once you have explained the phonetics or phonology, you kind of hope or assume that people will go to your website and check it out anyway. So maybe it's just that. But other than that, you can't get past that it functions perfectly the way it is designed. Now let's take a look at the aesthetics. As you can see in the examples on screen, Brian has made a point of taking extensive notes while simultaneously developing his script alongside his conlang. This is just good practice overall, as it helps you track changes, but also allows you to slowly evolve your script to peak functionality and aesthetics. I would also add that it gives you space to make mistakes and learn from them as you go. Let's watch a short clip of Brian practicing his script, available on the Lortho IG profile. The sample on the left is from April of 2018, while the sample on the right is from December of 2022. This is from the Lortho Instagram profile, which is open and viewable online. The oldest and the youngest of the samples is what you see posted here on the screen. You can see that the brushstrokes are more consistent and that there is confidence behind the younger of the samples. The older of the samples is quite good too, but does have quite a bit of roughness to it. On this screen, we're going to look at vowel notation. On the left side, diphthongs. On the right side, you'll see the standard vowels. This first image is from 2017, while the second image is from 2018. You can see that the diphthong diacritics are now more connected in 2018's version. The very first version is from May of 2017. You can see that this is more of just an outline to figure out where the vowels will be placed. And if you take a look at the I, you can see that it is actually not connected to the letter, where the other diacritics are. In July of 2017, you can see that this sample mirrors what you see in the May 2017, but the lines are more defined. If you look at the August of 2017 version, you can see it's more calligraphic, more cursive, more freehandish, but you can still very much clearly identify the vowels. And if you look at the June of 2018, which is considered the final form, you can see that everything is much more defined and that the O diacritic has changed completely and is also now disconnected, much like the I. This is the Lortho script in its oldest form when it was still considered an abjad. You can see that there is still consistency in the overall letter design. However, with the simple tick marks, you see that Brian was not satisfied with the vowel notation. Each of the images you will see on screen are from 2017, and thus some of the earliest examples of the script as an alphabet. You can tell that at this stage, Brian is fleshing out how the letter forms will flow with time. In this final image, you can see that he has come to what he considers to be more or less the final forms of the letters. You can see here in the example on screen that Brian begins to add punctuation at this point. The script sort of gets this lived-in look at this stage. The example you see here is just a masterclass in practicing your script. This example reportedly took Brian 3 hours to write in full. It's easy to see why. You can see the consistency of lettering that comes with years of practice. Of course, it doesn't hurt that Brian is a trained calligrapher, but this is his invention, and you can see how much care and attention he has given to slowly developing the functionality and artistry of this system. Here we see Brian's work on papyrus. I can speak from personal experience that writing on papyrus is a much different thing than your average sheet of paper. Imagine trying to write on butterfly wings, wings that are crusty and brittle, and trying to fly away. Yeah, pretty much that. This sample is from 2019, and here we see further progress in the shapes and flows of the letters, as well as a much more naturalistic movement from word to word. Brian labeled this image a quote unquote work in progress and also the common script Abugida format, but it looks like an older version of the script to me. Nonetheless, you can still see the basic letter forms. You can also see that the strokes are confident, straight, and very well put together. This sample on Brian's website is labeled The Unlucky Fox. There is no glossing or IPA or even a translation, but just look at it. Take it all in. This is a font that Brian made for his script. It's available for download. This is what years of development looks like. Careful study, revision, and practice. Hours and hours of practice. That's how a well-done system takes shape. Thank you for watching. I stand by my 2018 rating of 4 out of 5 for functionality and 5 out of 5 for aesthetics. I'm not too keen on mixing Abugidas and Abjads, but that's just my take. It's still an amazing script. I also hope that you enjoyed this surprise revisited review. I may look back at my blog and pull a few others out, but only if I can find enough material on the script or if they seem like a review would be maybe worth it to go through and do. Anyway, while I rate 4 out of 5 for functionality and 5 out of 5 for aesthetics, Brian gets a 10 out of 10 for dedication. And I can tell you from my own experience and from interviewing Brian and talking about his script that dedication is what it takes. If you don't give the time to the script or to the conlang even, you're not going to get anything out of it. You can't just post a chart online and wait for feedback or praise. You have to put in the work. Anyway, that's all for this surprise revisit review. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Keep scripting. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I very much appreciate your time and thank you for watching. As a note, all relevant links used in the making of this video are in the description. All information is the property of its creators and is openly available online.